Madame Minnie's doorstep, regarded the scene about him with the hardened moral indifference of youth. It was growing warm. The May sun was striding, an incongruous provincial virgin, through a litter of blousy streets. Under its mocking light, the rows of bawdy houses and saloons suffered an architectural collapse. Walls, windows, roofs, and chimneys leered tiredly at each other. The district seemed indeed an illustration for a parable of vice and virtue drawn by the venomously partial pen of some unusually half-witted cleric. Dirty-faced brothels, tousled cafe signs, bleary sidewalks, toothless storefronts, all cowering before the rebuke of God's Son. A few mysterious solitaries lent a vague life to the scene. The figure of a drunk, unchastened, zigzagging humorously down the pavement like some nocturnal clown prowling after a vanished bacchanal. A hastily dressed prostitute carrying her night's earnings as an offering to early devotion. A few unseasoned revelers overcome with a nostalgia for clean bathrooms and Sunday morning waffles at the family board, sleepily fleeing the scenes of their carouse. All this formed no part of the preoccupations of the whistling one. He was waiting for his companion, and for the 15th time the tune of Bill Bailey came softly from his lips. The companion appeared, a crestfallen young man of 23, Hugh Keegan by name. An idiotic wistfulness marked the blond vacuity of his face. They said nothing and walked to the streetcar track. Here they must wait. There was no car in sight. Basine employed the wait, jumping out from the curbing and peering with a great show of interest down the deserted tracks. The night's dissipation had left him perversely elate. His vanity demanded that he confound the scenes of his recent moral collapse by exhibitions of undiminished vigor of body and gaiety of mind. So he capered back and forth between the curb and the deserted tracks, ostentatiously unbuttoning his coat to the chill of the dawn and addressing brisk, cheerful sallies to his penitent friend. It was this way with Basine. He had spent the night in sin. Now he must act as if he had not spent the night in sin. It was a matter of deceiving his conscience, and Basine's conscience did not live in Basine. It was, to the contrary, a mysterious external force, something quite outside him. He eyed the virtuous hallelujahs of the sunrise with a somewhat overemphasized aplomb. Dimly he felt that a god was articulating in dawns and sunbeams. As long as he had continued his whistling, these facts had remained concealed. But now he had grown tired of Bill Bailey, and at once God, peering out of his beautiful rosy heaven, was saying, "Shame on you." Everything seemed to be waiting to repeat this banal reproof. This was the conscience of George Basine, a reproof that came from without. He felt an inclination to defiance before this reproof. He was young and given to evil. He was only natural, considering the time in which he lived and the biological impulses of youth. But to do evil was one thing. To defend it after it was done was another. Thus Basine, having sinned lustily through the night, avoided the more unspeakable sin of defending his action. The reproof arrived. He faced it with candor and intelligence, prepared to admit that he had done wrong. He did not want God mumbling around inside him, as was the case with his friend Keegan. God mumbled around inside of Keegan and made him feel like the devil. But Basine,